In the 1980s, in a small town in northern Italy, a man in his mid-50s stopped sleeping. Not gradually, not in the way that stress or anxiety interrupts sleep. He simply stopped. One night, the sleep did not come, and it did not come the night after that. Or the night after that. His name was Silvano, and what happened to him over the next 8 months would eventually change what scientists thought they knew about the human brain. Silvano knew what was coming. He had watched his father die the same way, and his grandfather before that. He knew because in his family, in this particular family, there was something waiting. Something encoded in their DNA that no one in medicine fully understood yet. He checked himself into a sleep clinic and told them everything. The doctors watched as Silvano's body began to fail in a specific sequence. First, the inability to sleep deepened. He could enter a light drowsiness, but never true sleep. Never the deep restorative stages that the brain requires. Then came the hallucinations. Waking visions that he could not distinguish from reality. Then the physical deterioration. Rapid weight loss. Difficulty controlling movement. The autonomic nervous system, the system that regulates heart rate, body temperature, blood pressure, beginning to lose coherence. 8 months after his sleep stopped, Silvano died. The disease is called Fatal Familial Insomnia. The name is precise and complete. It is fatal, it runs in families, and it begins with insomnia. It is caused by a single misfolded protein, a prion, that accumulates in a specific region of the brain called the thalamus. The thalamus is the brain's relay station. It coordinates signals between the body and the cortex. And critically, it is the structure that regulates the transition into sleep. When prions destroy the thalamus, the ability to sleep is lost. Permanently, irreversibly. What happens to a human body when sleep is permanently removed is not simply fatigue. Sleep is not rest, it is maintenance. During sleep, the brain clears metabolic waste, including the toxic proteins that accumulate during waking hours. It consolidates memory, it regulates hormones, it performs repairs that cannot happen while the system is running. Without sleep, these processes stop. Waste accumulates, systems begin to fail in sequence, the immune system weakens, cognitive function deteriorates, the body loses the ability to regulate its own temperature. And eventually, after months of this, the brain shuts down entirely. Fatal familial insomnia affects approximately 40 families worldwide. Not 40,000, not 400. 40. It is caused by a mutation on the PRNP gene, a single letter change in the genetic code that produces a misfolded version of the prion protein. This misfolded protein is infectious to other prion proteins, causing a chain reaction of misfolding that progressively destroys the thalamus. There is no treatment. There is no way to slow it. There is no cure. To be born into one of these 40 families is to live with a specific kind of knowledge. The mutation is autosomal dominant, meaning if one parent carries it, each child has a 50% chance of inheriting it. And for most of the 20th century, there was no test that could tell you whether you had inherited it until the disease itself began to manifest. Some family members chose not to be tested. They decided they would rather not know. Others were tested and learned they carry the mutation, and then had to decide whether to have children of their own.
If you want to understand what this disease has taught scientists about what sleep actually is and why the brain cannot survive without it, stay with this.
Silvano had a brother named Vincenzo, and Vincenzo had a son named Pietro. Pietro became a doctor, and he spent his career trying to understand what had killed his uncle, his grandfather, and the generations before them. He partnered with neurologist Ignazio Reuter and eventually connected with prion researcher Stanley Prusiner at the University of California, who had won the Nobel Prize in 1997 for discovering that proteins alone, without any DNA, could be infectious. Together, they began to map what was happening inside the family's brains. What the research revealed was precise and devastating. The prions were destroying the thalamus in a specific pattern, attacking the anterior and medial-dorsal nuclei first. These are the regions most directly involved in regulating sleep cycles and autonomic function. As these regions were destroyed, the thalamus lost its ability to generate the neural signals that initiate sleep. The brain wanted to sleep. The body needed to sleep. But the relay station was broken. The signal could not get through. The patient was trapped awake, not by choice, not by anxiety, by structural neurological damage that was progressing with no way to stop it. In the final stages, the patient enters a state that researchers describe as a twilight, neither fully awake nor asleep. They may appear to be acting out dreams, moving and speaking in response to hallucinations, but they are not asleep. The EEG shows no sleep architecture, no slow waves, no REM cycles, no restorative activity. They are aware, in the early stages, of exactly what is happening to them. The duration from first symptom to death ranges from 7 months to 3 years. What fatal familial insomnia has taught sleep researchers cannot be learned any other way, because it isolates the variable with a precision that no experiment could ethically achieve. It removes sleep, completely and permanently, from an otherwise healthy human brain and then documents exactly what happens. Sleep researcher Matthew Walker has called it the most convincing demonstration that sleep is not optional, that it is not a luxury or a preference or a habit. It is a biological imperative as fundamental as breathing. There is currently no proven treatment for fatal familial insomnia. The Midori family in Italy has been central to research for decades, allowing scientists to study their genetics, their brain tissue, and their disease progression in detail that has no parallel in medical science. They have given everything they have to a problem that has not yet been solved. We take sleep for granted in a way we take almost nothing else for granted. We sacrifice it for work, for screens, for a few more hours of doing something that feels more important. We treat it as the thing we do when everything else is finished. Fatal familial insomnia is what happens when that assumption is tested at its absolute limit. The brain does not negotiate, it does not adapt, it does not find another way. When sleep is removed, it fails. Systematically, completely, without exception. Somewhere right now, a member of one of 40 families knows they carry this mutation. They are living their life, going to work, loving people, sleeping. And somewhere in their DNA, a single misfolded protein is waiting. Sleep, it turns out, is not something you do. It is something that keeps you alive. Until it doesn't.
If this changed how you think about the 8 hours you almost skipped last night, that is exactly what this channel is for. Subscribe to Wrong Instinct. New video every week.